The AH-64 Apache helicopter entered service in 1986, tasked with one specific mission: to serve as the United States Army's main Soviet tank killer. But 40 years later, this Cold War veteran is preparing for a new role as a drone hunter. And to achieve it, it will be armed with a type of ammunition designed to wipe out unmanned aerial vehicles without even having to touch them. This is far from the first upgrade that this helicopter has received since it first joined the Army. The AH-64D Apache longbow variant of the late 90s added an improved radar system. The more modern AH-64E Guardian gained the ability to work alongside unmanned aerial vehicles, or UAVs, allowing the chopper to coordinate strikes across land, sea, and sky. However, its current transformation into a counter-drone platform represents a new step for the Apache, one that could prove critical in the ongoing war with Iran, where America is in desperate need of a new UAV shield that doesn't cost millions to operate. Late last year, it was announced that the helicopter had taken part in Operation Fly Swatter, a live fire test conducted at a Marine Corps air station in North Carolina, intended to determine how effective the Apache would be at spotting, chasing, and neutralizing enemy drones. According to reports, the helicopter used a wide array of munitions during the test, including radar-guided joint air-to-ground missiles, Hydra 70 rockets boosted with advanced precision kill weapon system guidance, Hellfire missiles, and M789 explosive shells. To find its targets across the battlefield, the Apache relied on both radar and Link 16, a high-speed, jam-resistant digital link that crews can use to acquire real-time tactical information. The results of Operation Fly Swatter were extraordinary, achieving 13 victories in 14 engagements. Apache New Equipment Training Team Manager Daniel York declared, quote, "The Apache, using its current software and systems, is a lethal and adaptable solution to the drone threat. The Apache can engage both small and larger drones with a wide range of munitions, underscoring its operational flexibility and combat relevance." In fact, the results were apparently so promising that there have recently been reports that the Army is testing yet another weapon that the Apache could soon use to go up against enemy UAVs. It's called the XM-1225 round, and according to reports, it can be launched directly from the Apache's main M230 30mm automatic cannon, reducing the risk of delays caused by having to modify the helicopter's components or install new launchers. Perhaps even more convenient, it's believed that crews won't have trouble adjusting. The XM-1225 is designed to be compatible with the chopper's existing software, including the helmet display and sight system, which helps airmen deliver more accurate strikes. Of course, going after drones, which are much smaller than enemy tanks and ground targets, will not be an easy task for the Apache. Luckily, the XM-1225 does not require direct contact with its target to detonate. Built with a close proximity fuse, all the XM-1225 needs to do is get close to its objective. Once it does, it explodes next to it, unleashing a cloud of shrapnel designed to destroy the drone before it can reach its target. Even more impressively, it's estimated that the Apache will be able to carry as many as 1,200 of these munitions, giving the chopper enough firepower to go after larger drones or widespread swarms of unmanned attackers. It's still uncertain exactly when the Army's Apaches will begin taking off with this new ammunition loaded and ready to go. However, officials recently revealed that they are producing about 1,000 of these new munitions per month and could soon be assembling as many as 5,000, suggesting that within military circles, officials can't wait for the Apache to begin serving in this new role. In November of last year, it was revealed that Russia had just launched its latest submarine, a giant named Khabarovsk, believed to be around 442 feet long and weighing 10,000 tons. Ever since then, there's been little information about her full capabilities, leaving analysts trying to uncover what the vessel is truly capable of. Now, new details have finally surfaced, and it appears the most concerning part of this naval launch is not Khabarovsk herself, but the weapon she's hiding inside her hull. Concerns about Russia's weapons program spiked in 2018, when President Vladimir Putin announced that his nation would soon be developing 6 new nuclear systems, referred to as superorugia, or superweapons, a group of arms that would be impossible for America or any other adversary to counter once they were deployed. These superweapons ranged from hypersonic ballistic missiles to anti-ship payloads. So far, it's believed that only 2 of them have been actively used, although not in a nuclear capacity, and primarily against Ukraine. One of them is the KH-47M2 Kinjal, an air-launched missile reportedly capable of traveling up to 300 miles at Mach 10. And the other is the 3M22 Zircon, a naval payload used to destroy enemy targets at sea. However, with the launch of the Khabarovsk submarine, some believe Putin has gained the perfect platform to deploy yet another of his superweapons. And there's no guarantee that when he does, Russia will keep holding back from using nuclear power. According to some analysts, the new submarine incorporates elements from 2 different types of submarine, the Beret class and the Belgorod. The first is armed with launch tubes loaded with ballistic missiles, capable of traveling more than 5,500 miles. The second is the first known Russian boat to be equipped with the nation's Poseidon unmanned underwater vehicle. While there's still some debate about Poseidon's exact capabilities, the system seems to be a mix of a torpedo and a self-driving mini-submarine, capable of carrying conventional and nuclear payloads up to 6,200 miles. Once deployed from her mothership, the naval drone could travel for weeks on end before reaching its target. If there were any obstacles along its path, it could, at least in theory, easily detect them and readjust its trajectory to avoid them. Even if ships were deployed to intercept Poseidon, the crew on board would have a hard time seeing it coming, as it's believed the weapon also includes stealth technology that allows it to mimic the sounds of civilian vessels underwater. It's also been reported that Poseidon could travel at low speeds to further reduce its signature, accelerating only when its target comes within striking range and it becomes harder to neutralize. While it's still unclear whether or not Poseidon is ready for full-scale deployment, Putin has previously announced that his country has already successfully tested it, adding that, quote, "There's nothing like this. It can put entire states out of operation." Some sources suspect that the new Khabarovsk submarine could carry as many as 6 of these torpedoes, stored in 2 flooded hangars at the bow and launched via hatches at the tip of the boat. The Khabarovsk could also likely be fitted with a conventional missile array to further boost her offensive capabilities. However, many believe the submarine was specifically designed to serve as a Poseidon launch station, intended to carry long-range strikes against coastal targets and carrier groups, rather than engage in one-on-one naval battles. Still, it remains to be seen just how fast Russia can deploy its new submarine and Poseidon weapon into an active battlefield, and whether or not these systems will prove as destructive as Putin claims, or if Russia is just using them as a deterrent at a time when the future of the war against Ukraine appears more uncertain by the day. Reports have confirmed that the United States tested a new laser system on board the USS George H.W. Bush carrier with one objective: to determine whether this anti-drone weapon could operate effectively in a naval setting against incoming threats. At first sight, the unit designed by AeroVironment may not seem too menacing, not much larger than an average refrigerator, and crowned by a modern yet compact laser turret. Reportedly, crews rolled the system onto the deck and installed it in just a single day, securing it in place with chains so they wouldn't even have to build a more complex structure on board the vessel. The system, known as Locust, was in fact so simple to operate that it took crews on board only about 10 minutes to become familiar with its main controls. Still, by the time the test started, it was clear that this could soon become America's main line of defense against enemy drones. Reports state that during the test on board the USS George H.W. Bush, Locust was not only able to detect incoming unmanned aerial vehicles on its own, but also neutralized every target. The implications of a system like this were immediately evident. John Garrity, Vice President of Directed Energy Systems at AeroVironment, assured, quote, "Rolling Locust onto a ship and quickly initiating operations facilitates the expanded use of high-energy lasers across the fleet, without the need for costly, time-consuming ship modifications." A system like this could help the U.S. Navy gain an edge in the new era of warfare, where autonomous systems are taking over the front lines faster than ever before. In its current conflict with Iran, it's estimated that America and its allies across the Persian Gulf have been targeted by thousands of cheap Shahed 136 drones, some of which have required neutralization with missiles that can cost millions of dollars per shot. And even then, there's no guarantee a UAV won't find its way through. According to some reports, on May 10th, the cargo ship Safe Sea Niha, operated by the American company Safe Sea Group, was targeted by 2 drones and hit by at least one of them while navigating near Qatar. Presumably, the Locust system could be the perfect solution to counter strikes like this, able to identify multiple targets at once and take them out at the speed of light, even when weather complicates visibility and the sea violently rocks the vessel. AeroVironment has stated that the latest version of the Locust can take down everything from small 20-pound drones flying low to unmanned attackers weighing up to 1,320 pounds descending from 18,000 feet, using advanced precision electro-optical infrared targeting. Once activated, Locust keeps a continuous eye on the skies around it. When it identifies a group of incoming threats, its systems automatically determine which to attack first, firing a concentrated beam from a high-energy laser that doesn't require reloading, enabling a rapid rate of fire while ensuring every hit is as precise as possible. However, perhaps the best part of the Locust system is that it doesn't need to be confined to a ship's deck to operate. Aside from the USS George H.W. Bush test, officials also recently revealed that AeroVironment conducted another trial of its system at a military base in New Mexico last March. This time, while operating from a ground position, crews determined just how effective Locust was at neutralizing drones bound for a fixed position while avoiding civilian aircraft. Reports suggest that the test was a success, effectively demonstrating that Locust can distinguish between targets and attack only those that have been previously approved. In practice, this could help create a wide-ranging drone shield across the U.S. mainland, keeping cities and strategic targets safe from drone attacks in a future conflict. There's still no definitive date for the widespread deployment of these systems, and it's important to note that despite their potential, logistical challenges remain. For naval deployments, for example, it's been noted that while the Locust is operating, carriers will not be able to conduct aircraft deployments or landings. Still, the company has assured that it's actively working on perfecting the operability of the Locust, and with drone warfare evolving by the day, American officials will likely be interested in giving systems like this a boost so they can become ready for deployment as fast as possible. Early on the morning of May 11th, news broke that an American F-35 fighter jet operating near the Strait of Hormuz had disappeared from tracking systems shortly after emitting a distress signal. While the U.S. held off on commenting on the alleged incident, the situation didn't look good. If not even one of the most capable jets in the U.S. arsenal can protect American pilots, then perhaps the battlefield calls for a new type of fighter altogether, one that can fly and attack on its own, carrying out stealth missions without putting a single airman at risk. Luckily for the U.S., such a model already exists and could take off as soon as this fall. The aircraft is known as the X-Bat, and Shield AI, the company behind it, describes it as, quote, the world's first AI-piloted vertical takeoff and landing fighter jet. According to Armour Harris, the aircraft's chief designer, the system features payload bays roughly the same size as those found in the F-35, theoretically allowing it to carry similar weapons while boasting a 2,000-mile range, more than double the F-35's combat reach. However, perhaps the most critical advantage of the X-Bat is that being designed to lift off vertically, it doesn't require runways for deployment, allowing it to take off from remote land bases, non-carrier vessels, or even mobile stations driving across contested terrain. Shield AI President Brandon Singh has assured, quote, air power without runways is the holy grail of deterrence. It gives our forces persistence, reach, and survivability, and it buys diplomacy another day. X-Bat was first announced in October of last year, However, it wasn't until the most recent Sea Airspace Expedition this past April that analysts could learn more specific details about the new fighter and get a look at its latest design, which has received considerable modifications since its first presentation. While the original prototype featured a wider, more angular frame, the new version of the fighter sports a sleeker, arrowhead silhouette with foldable wings that allow for easy storage, and some analysts suggest could improve the aircraft's stability during high-speed flight. As of now, there aren't specific details on the maximum velocity the X-Bat is projected to have. However, it's been reported that the fighter will be powered by a General Electric F-110 engine, which when installed in fighters like the F-16 Fighting Falcon is known to be capable of delivering speeds above Mach 2. But what will truly set the X-Bat apart is its ability to operate almost entirely on its own. Shield AI states that the fighter will be able to detect enemy targets and decide how best to engage them without human intervention, even in areas where GPS and connectivity are limited or jammed by rivals. And when the X-Bat engages in battle, it'll have the tools to go all out, including air-to-air and air-to-surface weapons. The company also says that the fighter will be able to carry large strike weapons mounted on external hardpoints. However, what exactly these could be remains to be determined. Reports have also suggested that the X-Bat could serve as a drone tanker, utilizing hoses connected to the jet's external hardpoints to link with other aircraft patrolling in the area and conduct mid-air refueling, potentially even with another unmanned vehicle. If this method of refueling were to prove effective, America could, at least in theory, sustain a continuous airborne alert force as jets continuously refueled each other, with minimal human intervention. As of now, it's believed that Shield AI has been working on the X-Bat since 2024 and is determined to begin takeoff and landing demonstrations at some point during the fall of 2026. If everything goes according to plan, further testing on the jet could be conducted in a couple of years, allowing the aircraft to officially join the U.S. Navy and Air Force before the end of the decade. And when it finally does, it could become the most advanced drone system America has ever wielded.